Hi, my name is Ali Shirsavar from Biricha Digital. We are here at the booth of Omicron Lab at PCIM in Nuremberg, and today we're going to talk about constant on-time control method, how it works, its advantages and disadvantages, and then we've got a small lab set up and we're going to show everything in the lab. So constant on-time control falls into a category of control that we call hysteretic. Hysteretic in its simplest form is a little bit like a very simple heater. You turn the switch on, temperature goes up. When it hits to a certain threshold, you turn the switch off. The temperature falls down to another threshold, you turn the switch back on again, and that is how you control the temperature. In a power supply, a hysteretic power supply, you do exactly the same thing. You view the output voltage and you wait for it to hit an upper threshold. You turn the switch off, and a lower threshold, you turn the switch back on again. Constant on time is a little bit different in that we keep the value of the on period constant in proportion with the input voltage. I'll explain that in a little bit later, but for now, just imagine it as kicking a tire. It's a little bit like kicking a tire. Imagine you've got a tire and you give it a kick. Now, as you give the kick to the tire, it'll start rolling. So here is your kick. This is constant. And when you give it a kick, the speed of the tire will go up, right? Now, then the tire will start to slow down, depending on the slope of the road that it's on. Now, imagine that it's a little bit of an uphill, and that means that it's going to slow down quickly, so you're going to have to give it a kick more and more often. So if it's a little bit uphill, it's going to fall down. As soon as it hits the lower threshold, you give it another kick. The speed goes back up, and then after this constant period, it comes back down again. Then you give it another kick. However, this width is constant. Now imagine that it's not going uphill anymore and it's on a flat or perhaps a slight down slope. And at that point, after you have given it a kick, it will take a long time for it to slow down. And therefore, you have to give it a kick later. So for a constant on time, this will be the on period of your switch, and this will be your output voltage. If you have got a lot of load, you have to turn the switch on often with a constant width. So this width is equal to that width is equal to that width, and so on. And if you do not have as much load, let's say there's low load conditions, it's going to take a long time for the output voltage to fall down below this threshold when you give it another kick. The width of this is kept constant in proportion with the input voltage. I'm going to talk about that when we do the lab, but for now, you can see that the frequency is varying depending on how much load you have got. That is one of the disadvantages of constant on time. However, the advantages are that it's extremely simple to design, very quick time to market, extremely fast response. So if you can get away with some amount of ripple, then that could be a good choice for you. So here is our test setup. This is a LM25085 chip from TI. It's a constant on-time controller, extremely popular. And we've got an evaluation module, which is available from TI. And I have connected it to a very simple load, and I'm displaying on the oscilloscope the frequency, which you can see right down there, and you can see the duty. So I'm going to show you how the frequency and the duty change with the amount of load that I add on. So if I remove all of the load, that's nothing load, then I add a little bit of load, and you can see that immediately the frequency becomes a lot shorter, a lot higher. Now, if you look on the frequency part here, at the moment it's switching at 260 kilohertz, okay? And the duty, the scope is displaying as 12%. And as we mentioned earlier on, as I increase the load, I expect the switching frequency to go up because it's like that kicking that tire. You have to kick it more often. So first, let's have a look at the switching frequency going up. I've got 4 bits of load that I can add one by one. So I add a little bit more of load. There we go. Switching frequency has now gone to 275 kilohertz, a little bit more, 280 kilohertz, a little bit more, 290 kilohertz. So you can see clearly that the switching frequency now is changing. I'm getting the load down at the moment. But if you look at the duty actually remains constant, hence the name constant on time, right? It barely changes. At full load is 13%, and at almost no load is 12.5%. Right? If I completely take it off, you won't see it very much. You can see that it's going to this continuous conduction mode, and it takes a long time before another pulse happens because there is no load, so you don't have to kick. So let's put that down. Immediately the switching frequency goes up as soon as I add the load. There we go. You can see that it's running now at 260. The other thing that we said it happens in a constant on time is that we make the pulse width constant in proportion with the input voltage. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to change the input voltage, and we will see that the switching frequency stays constant-ish. It will change a little bit. However, because the controller is willfully keeping the on time in proportion with the input voltage, I expect the duty now to change and the frequency to remain relatively constant, but it will never be as constant as a hard switch, let's say, voltage mode controller. So here I've got my input voltage, which is set to around 10 volts at the moment. And just please have a look now as what happens as I increase 10, 11, 12. You can clearly see the height of this is going up because I'm increasing the input voltage, but the switching frequency is 250 at 14 volts, 250 at 17 volts, 245, 50, 40 at 19 volts. I'm not going to go any higher because I'm going to pop the chip. Now I'm going to reduce it, again going from 18, 17, 16, you can see that the switching frequency is not changing very much. However, I expect the pulse width to change because that is how the silicon is actually controlling it. So again, if I start at a low voltage, say I am around 10 volts now, and again here, I'm getting the scope to plot the duty. The duty is at 13%, so let's go up 10, you see? Duty has already fallen down to 9%, 8%. I'm at 17 volts and it's down to 7%. I'm not going to go to 20 because I think that's going to blow the chip, but at 20 volts, the duty has come down to 6%. And that is exactly what we expect from this type of controller. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you at one of our workshops, and please find out more at biricha.com.